Hey GlobeTrotters, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for coming back and for believing in this little channel. To those of you who are new subscribers, welcome to you as well. Thank you for taking a chance on an unknown face. If you're new here, my name is Lori, and in this community, we strive to educate, motivate, and inspire each other in all things travel related. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about what not to do when you're traveling throughout Italy. As you may know from some of the previous videos, I just got back from a week-long trip in Italy, and I shared with you some of my journeys on that, some of my stories and trials and tribulations, as well as my fantastic escapades on that trip. And I've still been sharing some shorts and reels on TikTok and Instagram, so be sure to follow me there for those. But this is going to be the sit-down chat with you video about the trip, and basically talk to you a little bit more about what you should not do on this international trip to Italy. So let's get right into it. Come along. This is in no particular order, so don't feel like there's a judgment on any one of these, except maybe the last one that I'm going to deal with is perhaps the most egregious, with the amount of details that I'm going to put into it. So we'll talk about that, okay? So first of all, don't limit your trip to just one city. Italy is a large country. Yes, it is. And if you don't know, geographically, Italy is in Europe, and Italy is the country that is shaped like the boot. For those of you who do not know, and the boot seems to be kicking Africa. Just a little geographical factoid for you. So my first don't is do not limit your trip to just one city. As I said, it's a large country and there's so many differences in the regions of Italy. So Milan is vastly different from Venice, which is vastly different from the Lake Como area, vastly different from Sicily, from Palermo, from Sardinia, it's just so many different things. And if you want, one of my favorite movies is Under the Tuscan Sun, about an American who was going through some things in her personal life, went on a trip to Italy, got off the tour bus and bought an abandoned house. And then anyway, it shows the countryside, and I long to see that part of Italy. I long to see the areas where there are like mountainous towns and the people are still living off of the land, and they're eating fresh foods and drinking the wines that they made. And, people gather in the town square in La Piazza on a Friday night or a Saturday, and they share meals, they break bread and sop up, olive oil and black pepper and salt with their bread, and they just eat that fresh with some, a piece of handmade mozzarella or something like that. And I crave the simplicity of that and the authenticity of that. And so I hope that on my next trip, I get to see some of those areas. And in our trip to Italy in the year 2000, my mom and I, we spent the entire week in Rome. And anyone who's been to Rome, you can see Rome in probably a day or two. And so after, a while, it was like we kept going and doing more and more things just because we had done everything else that we had planned. So we went to the Vatican. We spent a day at the Vatican. We went to the catacombs, the underground burial areas. We went and did, we went to do very in-depth touristy things that I think if I were alone, I probably would have ventured off and gone to other cities and explored a little bit more. But I was with my mom and I was her translator and everything else. And it was comfortable for us to stay in that area. So we stayed in that area and we made the most of it. This time when I went with my friend, we were fortunate enough to see 3 different cities. And I have the blogs posted for all of those, for Milan, for Venice, as well as for Brescia. And they were all, as I said, vastly different. And I want to see more of the types of cities like Brescia that we saw while we were there. So Number one, do not just limit your trip to one city. You can easily get on a train. You can easily get on a cheap flight, and I'll show you in a different video how to hop from country to country on very cheap flights, easier said than done, within the EU and within the UK, and even from that continent to other continents. It's very, very doable, and I'll show you how to do that very soon. So stay tuned. Later in this week, I'll post that video for you guys. Number two, do not be afraid to take the trains. And whether that is the subway, the underground, as some people call it, in different parts of the world, especially over in Europe and the UK, they say the underground. But do not be afraid. There are elevators, there are escalators, they are well lit, they are clean. At least in Milan and Venice and in Breccia. Did we take the underground in Breccia? No, but we did take the train from Venice to Breccia. But it's well lit, it's well staffed. There aren't these, I hear subway, I think New York City subway, I think giant rats, I think dark and dank, I think, homeless people sleeping on benches, I think a very nefarious bunch after certain hours. And we didn't take it too late, did we? No, we took the train 11, 12, I don't know. But even at those hours at night, it was, again, fairly well lit and everything. But don't be afraid to take the trains. Milan is a very central city. If you choose to go to Milan, you can, offshoot to London, to Paris, to Lake Como, to Switzerland, to, so many different places, whether on the train or the plane. But in this instance, I'm talking about on the train, so you can get a ticket for under $100 to any of these other cities. So the world is your oyster, the country is your oyster, the city is your oyster. Do not be afraid to take the train. Now, a few tips. Do not buy your train tickets from individuals standing next to the kiosks. The tickets are valid for a certain amount of time. However, there may be like a 45-minute period or a 90-minute period in which you have to use that ticket and get on that train. So the ticket that they're selling you may be a ticket that someone discarded that is no longer valid because they've already used it, A, or B, because the time has already expired. So do not buy, because that may be a scam. Buy it from the kiosks, or go up to, if there is someone behind a desk selling tickets, go to an individual with a jacket on representing that company that you can get that ticket and have it be a valid ticket for you to travel. Conclude your transaction as you're buying the ticket. Always double check the timetable for the trains that you wish to take to make sure that the train that you wish to take will be traveling, will be stopping there, will be arriving within that timetable, so that you don't purchase a ticket that is useless because the timetable expires and then your ticket is then useless. So always double check the timetable. Always double check the expiration date and time for that ticket. If you're taking a high-speed train from one city to the next, always double check your seating class, where you will be sitting and be seated, and whatever other details, so that you don't run into any surprises. If you're taking a regional train or a high-speed train that's going in between regions, in between cities, such as when we went from Milan to Venice or from Venice to Breccia, be sure to validate your ticket. There are these machines that will be across from the kiosks where you purchase your ticket, or close to where you enter into the area to get onto the train, so you can validate your ticket before you get on the train. This is so that you avoid any issues if the ticket clerk comes around to check your tickets and it's not validated. There may be some issues with that. We didn't have any of those issues, so I don't know exactly what could happen. If you have traveled and this has happened to you, or you know of a story where it's happened to someone else, please let us know down in the comments so we can be apprised of what the consequences are for having an unvalidated ticket. Do not get rid of your ticket. Keep it on you, because if the clerk asks to see it, if the clerk passes by again, and you're on one of those high-speed regional trains, you may need that ticket to show Once again, if you're on the subway, on the underground, do not throw away your ticket. Do not put away your ticket. I put away my ticket. I didn't throw it away because I was going to keep it for a souvenir. However, I placed it into my purse, and then I was trying to get out of the turnstiles of the train station, not recognizing. And I think I included a clip in the previous video where I uttered an expletive because I did not realize that you had to insert the ticket into the reader to open up the turnstiles. Well, there was a person who was in a hurry, perhaps. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say, perhaps they did buy a ticket and they were just in a hurry. But he ran ahead of me when I inserted my ticket. So the turnstile went for him. And when I tried to go, my ticket was showing that it was already used. So I see what tickets, what happens when you have a used ticket and you're trying to exit the subway system. So a lovely gentleman behind me scanned something on his phone and it opened up the turnstile and we both went through together. However, I was standing there stuck, like, I don't know what to do. There's no worker. I'm holding up the line. There are like 15 people waiting to get out of the subway. And I'm just like, me scusi. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Mi dispiace. I'm sorry. I just kept uttering, mi dispiace. Hold on to your ticket so that you can use it to exit out of the subway. Number 3, do not plan to shop around lunchtime. Now, this is not Spain where perhaps they will say, oh, take a siesta. But I remember this being a faux pas because my mom and we did this in Rome. We got out and we're like, oh, we're going to get some lunch and then we're going to do some shopping and all of that. Well, there were a lot of the stores that were closed. And as a matter of fact, we had done some shopping beforehand. Before we went to lunch, ended up leaving a bag of silk scarves that we had purchased in this one store, went back to the store, and there was a sign on the door that said basically, ritorna en un oro, basically saying that they would return in an hour. They didn't say when they left. They didn't say an hour from when they would return, but they would return. We stuck around for an hour and they still had not returned. But what happens is that because it's still a very much relaxed culture and a very family-oriented culture, they took off to go have lunch. Your meals are very important in Italy. And so the owners of the store went home to sit down with their families and to enjoy their lunch. And they return whenever they return and reopen the store. So if you think you're going to plan to shop during lunchtime when everything's going to be open, even in large cities, things shut down around lunchtime. And as I showed you in my Brescia vlog, on Saturdays and Sundays, things were shut down because I guess they take more time off, they're more relaxed. Again, Americans are the most industrialized people on the planet, supposedly. However, we take the least amount of vacation time, whereas Europeans take a lot of vacation time. They take a lot of breaks. They enjoy their meals. They eat slowly and all of that. And we tend to just rush and hustle. But anyway, the point is, don't plan to shop around lunchtime. Choose wiser about the days of the week that you shop and the times of the day that you shop. Be wise about that. Number 4, do not assume that you do not need to know any Italian words or phrases. I told you in a previous video that we're a little bit spoiled as Americans going to different countries and knowing that people will be speaking English because they're educated and they are taught different languages. They are required to learn different languages, whereas we're not required to learn different languages in many of our schools. We don't require our students to learn a foreign language. It just shows respect when you know some of that individual's language instead of just gesturing or shouting. Just because someone doesn't understand you doesn't mean they can't hear you. So the shouting is a little bit disrespectful. It's annoying. It's rude, quite frankly. So learn a few phrases. Learn how to say please. Learn how to say thank you. Learn how to ask where the bathroom is. Learn how to say Speak slowly, please, in that language, especially if you know a few phrases, you understand it a little bit, but it may be difficult for you to speak it. So learn how to say in that language, slow down a little bit. So speaking of knowing the language, do not order a latte. The word latte in Italian means milk. Ordering a latte, you will just get a cup of milk. So if that's what you want, then fine. That's what you'll get, a cup of milk, a latte. If you want a cup of coffee with milk in it, then you will say caffè con latte, or you will say something like an americano, so an American coffee. So caffè americano, so you'll have something with some milk in it and some cream in it. And so, but there are just different ways. Just download an app, that translates, Google Translate app, that speaks what it is you want, or types it out on the screen so you can show them the screen so you can make sure that your communication is clear. Related to that fifth don't, here is a bonus do for you. Do pronounce the E at the ends of Italian words. So for instance, I said latte. When you say thank you, you say grazie. Latte, grazie, signore for man, or sir, signore. Starting in 2024, you will likely have to get a permit to enter Italy, perhaps certain cities in Italy, but I think Italy and other countries in the EU. Yes, other countries in the EU, you may have to get a permit. It's a simple online registration and pay a fee and get in there with that. But nonetheless, do know that you will have to do some extra work. It's like a visa that you're going to use to get into the country. So I hope that you enjoyed all of these tips. Tell me which one was your favorite. Do you have any other don'ts for traveling in and throughout Italy for the rest of the community? I'm so thankful to you guys. Listen, I know that you have choices in what you watch and your time is valuable. And so I appreciate the time that you took to click on this video, to watch this video towards the end. I have a lot of things in store for you. I'm already planning 24 days of content for Christmas related content for Vlogmas. So December 1st through 24th. And I don't know if you noticed, but last week you got 3 videos. This is the first video of this new week on this Sunday. However, you got 3 videos last week, and I hope to be giving you guys at least 2 videos every week going through November until December. So I have a ton of things that I want to add value to your life with. So I hope that you stick around. I hope that you click on that subscribe button. I hope you learn at least one thing and that you like this video. And hey, there are over 90% of you who are not subscribed to the channel. And I would love for you guys to join the community. It's great around here. I'm hoping to get to at least 500 subscribers by the end of 2023. Hope to get to about 1,000 by June of 2024. And that only comes from you guys sharing the videos with other people, clicking on the like button, because then YouTube pushes it out to more people, and just coming back and telling your friends about me, because sharing is caring. Remember to value experiences over things, because travel is the only thing you buy that truly makes you richer. Ciao.